Welcome and thank you for being here. I'm Nadia Watson Anthony, and today I'm going to be sharing with you how group works and how to support people navigating through trauma. This isn't just a proposal, this is the look on the inside of how these groups really work and why they matter. Let's dive in of understanding trauma through group work. Trauma isn't just about the events, it's about how our bodies respond and our nervous system respond to it. And it comes from the big things that happens in our lives as human, like abuse, stress, chronic stress to be exact, and also emotional neglect. And this impacts our identity, relationship, and our sense of safety in this world. When you look at trauma is incredibly common, okay? More than we often realize. Stats show that how widespread it is. Most adults have experienced at least one trauma in their life. So if someone tells you that they haven't, please look at them crazy. But when you think about it, 70% of adults in the U.S. have experienced that at least one trauma in their lives, and 1 out of 5 and 1 out of 13 reported have been men reported that they've dealt with trauma when it comes to childhood sexual abuse. Not to mention the PTSD effects that are about 6% of the population, but many experience trauma symptoms have been without without being diagnosed. So it's important to understand the type of trauma numbers and what could be coming to your group. A lot of people don't even realize what's going on inside of their bodies. Moving forward, when it comes to what trauma is, I want to talk to you a little bit about that. And we're going to probably stay here for a little bit. But trauma shows up in our body and it shows up in our behaviors. We can talk about the fight, flight, or freeze, or and even fawn. These are all trauma responses, survival responses. And if you're joining me today, you may have people come to your group who may shut down, they may be disassociated, they may become hypervigilant or over accommodating others to stay safe. And these are not just characteristic flaws, these are their adaptations. These are the adopted behaviors that has incorporated in their lives so that they can be in a survival mode. So you may never know, you may have people in your group and not even realize. So when you I'm giving you this information so that even in this group I'm able as a facilitator to pay attention, but even if you're in a different type of group, you too can see some of the things that may be going on in their life that just are not being dealt with. Let's talk about trauma responses. I call these the 5 F's. And the first one is the fight. This is the aggression, defiance, needing to be right or in control. You will see these things try to take place inside of your groups. Number 2, write this down if you have your paper and pen. Flight. This is the anxiety, the perfectionism, the overworking, the overaccommodation, and avoiding too. Number 3, freeze. This is the disassociation, feeling stuck, the numbness, and the disconnection that is happening within the individual. And fawn, this is people pleasing, lack of boundaries, merging with other needs. I've seen this a lot in flop. This is when the collapse, the submission, the total surrender, or without resistance. Listen, these are survival strategies, not characteristic flaws. And we may misunderstand the type of behaviors that we're dealing with, but I am keying in and honing in onto these type of behaviors. And how I facilitate in my classroom or my group setting is by setting the tone, creating that safety net, starting with grounding and breath work. And we'll get into more of that. And I want to stay, I want people to state their intentions. This space is for what? What do you think this space is created for? I'm already stating the intention for the group, but what are you here for, right? And sharing different types of concepts and encouraging people about self compassion by integrating the different types of options within the group and being close and gentle. And again, I can say grounding techniques 1,000 times because that is how I survive as a human myself, is by grounding myself and being able to utilize the things from my group or this type of group that I would use for myself. Now, moving forward, as we've spoken about the trauma numbers, let's move forward with common trauma responses. We've done that. Moving into group work. Let's move forward to group work. Okay. So trauma creates isolation. We know that. And group work helps to restore the connection. So it's very important for individuals who are dealing with this type or any kind of trauma to join a group because it helps. There is healing in being witnessed by others who understand. And members often say that they know they feel better after joining a group, and it helps to also break the cycle of change with the individual's mindset. Because again, when you're dealing with trauma, your body is responding to things, your mind is fogged by the trauma, and being able to help you see that you're human is going to be key um, to being inside of a group. And why does group work really work? Well, I want to let you know this, that group work works because it is rooted in how humans are wired. Social learning, connection, shared experience, and I'll give you a breakdown. Mirrors, and modeling. Okay, when you think of that, when people hear others share, it often helps to reflect their own inner experience. Seeing others take emotional risk models what safety and vulnerability can look like. Also, there's a thing called regulation through co-regulation, and this is being in a group, and this can help regulate the nervous system. And when one person is grounded, others can catch that energy to feel safer. I like that one. And it reduces shame, builds empowerment. When you think about that, people can shift from seeing themselves as broken to seeing themselves as wise and resourceful when they support others. When they tell their group mates, like, I didn't know you were going through that, you don't look like what you've been through, or wow, I thought I was the only one. You see the difference? But also diversity and insight. I like diversity, and it's the different perspectives that open up new ways of thinking, or feeling, or helping ones to feel safe and not alone. This encourages the flexibility in thinking, and have your emotions or your emotional brain to expand. And it also creates accountability. And this is easier. It's easier to stay connected to growth, I believe, when you are walking the path. It's just like working out. You can work out alone, but it feels better when you have a workout partner, right? We call this peer support, and it strengthens when you follow through with it, right? So what happens when trauma in the trauma group? Well, the session start and ends with grounding techniques, and also there's a mix of education, discussion, and somatic practices, as mentioned prior in the video. People learn about their own traumas and what they're comfortable with, and the skills they learn, sometimes they can learn together. So the group becomes a container for growth, of growth and safety for individuals, but also the whole community there. Themes that show up in a group are shame, right? Shame. Something is wrong with me. The fear of vulnerability, or difficult, at first when an individual walk into the group because they don't know anybody, but the group becomes a place where people learn to set those boundaries and reconnect and speak the truth without fear. And these shared struggles help deepen the connection. And the body remembers when the mind forgets. So we have to understand, even though you're showing up, you made a conscious decision. Your mind may haven't forgotten or have forgotten, but your body is still holding on to that trauma. So when you show up to these places, you sometimes don't feel worthy to be there. But if you could, this is what I would tell one: if you could just show up for you, if you could just show up for you, then you can see life happen and change. I facilitated a group where a woman, let's call her Kay, okay, and she hadn't spoken in a group for like 3 weeks, and she showed up, and she every week, but she listened, she'll cry a little bit quietly. But one day, another person in the group had shared something about feeling numb and disconnected from her kids, her children. And after years of holding it all together, she just felt really bad, right? That's when Kay finally spoke up and she said, "I thought I was the only one who felt that." And she felt failure as a mom, right? And you can feel the entire group exhale together, like, that was the moment, guys. That was the moment that Kay started to heal. The whole group, really, even myself, not because of me, but because someone else was brave enough to share their own truth about what was going on inside of their mind. And I want to encourage you to not be afraid to share those stories, because it's those things that rises up in our minds and we remember, and we freeze or we get scared because we don't want to verbalize it. But when you verbalize it, just know that you are healing yourself, and you are healing the people that's in the room. I love what I do. Let's move forward. So what clients often say is that there are there I don't know other people. I didn't know other people felt this way. Now that's the one that gets me the most. I didn't know that other people felt this way. And when you hear someone else's story, it makes you feel it makes you feel a sense of like you're alive, right? Like you're finally being seen. And one brother or one sister is helping you get up, and you are walking like this. I put this art up because I'm just helping one by sharing. You help one get up. You help one get up. Each one teach one. I like that. So as a facilitator, if you don't, I'm pretty sure you don't know exactly what I do, but people know me as Dr. Nadia Watson Anthony. I have an honorary PhD, and it was honored to me about 5 years ago from United Graduate and Seminary College. And you can find my LinkedIn, you can find my books. I'm an 8-time author on Amazon. I also have an all-time favorite that I wrote probably about 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago, and it's called Girl, It's Time to Mind Your Business. And this book is really near and dear to me because I didn't know that I was advocating for mental health like for a long time. And I believe that I was advocating for my own self first, because that's where it starts. But then I started to see what was helping me. And I wanted to put a book out there that'll help individuals. So in this book, not to take away from what we're doing today, but in this book really gives you affirmations. It gives you a 31-day devotion. And it also gives you education and statistics on mental health and how important it is when you are dealing with life, and how life will deal with you if you don't show up to the plate, right? It's taking full responsibility. So becoming a therapist in facilitating these type of groups, I wanted to create a safe place. Back in 2023, I opened up my first pregnancy center where I was offering free pregnancy tests, referring out for ultrasounds, helping one get assistance for things that they needed, and utilizing my master's degree in human services to help one be all that they can be. But what I noticed is that the girls that came in my office didn't need a pregnancy test. Those girls they needed therapy. They needed some type of grounding in their life. And that's what persuaded me to go back to school to work on my second master's, to become a professional counselor, a therapist who specializes in CPT in order to help them operate in cognitive and behavior therapy, understanding how to deal with the mind and change their behavior. So this pushed me here. And as a facilitator, I want to create that space. And my job is to hold the container and keeping that space, the emotional and the physical, safe. And I model regulations and give education and gently invite people to go deeper. And as a good facilitator, I want to stay grounded and deeply respectful to each person's pace. That's right. And balancing that psychoeducation with somatic and emotional support is going to be great for individuals who want to join a group such as the one that I offer here. So, how group complements individual therapy? Listen, at the moment, I have 5 clients that I deal, I help every week as of now. So my practice is very, very, very small. But group and individual, I say group therapy, it goes hand in hand, right? One-on-one therapy is for more personal depth, but when you think about group, and it brings in the relational healing and shows people that they are not alone, and they share their pain, and the mix is powerful. It's a powerful integration, and I have really yet to see one go to individual therapy and do not go to the group therapy. So for the past 10 weeks I've been in therapy, group therapy, thanks to Dr. McAllister for allowing us to have to get those 10 hours. I've joined a trauma group. I've joined a drug and alcohol anonymous group, just to see what goes on in these groups. And I've obtained more hours than 10, but also dealing with men who abuse their women. And I wanted to know why. What are their thoughts, And I've learned so much in those groups. So when you think about a group shows people that people are human and we're not all broken alone. Like, you are a human. Like, you can be fixed if you put forth the effort, right? And I really just enjoy how group complements individual therapy. And when you think about group and individual therapy, they really do work hand in hand. It's like two mirrors facing each other, like one reflects the inner world and the other reflects the world that shows up in our relationships. Okay. And one of the quotes that I like, it says that the in individual therapy, we learn to know ourselves. In group therapy, we learn to be ourselves. I like that one. So, group can accelerate insight from individual work by offering connection, challenge, and community, all within a safe container. Let's move forward. So, as I mentioned earlier, a vision for my future practice, I want to run a seasonal trauma group rooted in somatic, spiritual, and relational healing. I offer both group and individual support to help clients process, and my practice will honor this community of safety and humility that's going to offer healing, edification, and rest. If you have not yet, you can follow me on Facebook under we have Her Inspiration, or you can find me at on YouTube at Paging Dr. Anthony. are at Dr. Nadia Anthony. And I'm on there as a cognitive behavior therapist intern. And you would see my face and probably more of my family. But yeah, I'm interested in what I'm doing. I feel like I'm called to this, and I've hope you've learned so much from this video thus far. So my final thoughts are this, right? Group work isn't just about, if I can give you some, group work isn't just about fixing anyone. It's about helping them to remember their wholeness. And healing in community is ancient and it's powerful. It's powerful. So my hopes is that we keep building that space where people can heal together and at their own pace. So we're not rushing, but we are showing up. Another quote that I would like to leave you with is that trauma is not what happens to us, but what holds inside in the absence, in the imp, imp, let me say that again. Trauma is not what happens to us, but what we hold inside in the absence of an empathetic witness. So group work offers so many different dynamics, and it's how we begin to release what was never ours to carry alone. It's been a pleasure. I'm Dr. Nadia Anthony, and I want to thank you for joining me today in this video. We've cut short today, but it's been a pleasure.